you very much for, where are you? I don't know. Inviting us to your home. Where are they? There, neat. Haribol. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for coming. Are you going to give an introduction? Say something. Say something.
Welcome. Welcome, Maharaj.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for
Hare
being here.
Krishna.
Thank you for giving your presence.
We're blessed to be here. Very fortunate. Nice suburb. It's very many trees. Very tree suburb.
Thank you.
Very nice. I don't know where we are. Somewhere in Sydney. There, everywhere you go, it's this way, that way, this way, that. How far to there? 30 minutes. How far there? 30 minutes. 1 hour if you're going to Blacktown side, depending where you're going from. Very spread out, isn't it? Very
spread out.
all over. How many of you are from around here, nearby here? Anybody? Very few. How many of you are from the Blacktown side, over that way somewhere? Over that way. Liverpool side. In Liverpool, not many from Liverpool side. Any other side? Another side. Southern side, down there south somewhere. Huh? From hell, he's from the same place as I am. It's very warm there. It's a nice warm suburb if you like warm weather. It's hotter than Fiji in summer. How many are Fijian by birth or family-wise? You're all on the outside. All the Fijians are gathered around the perimeter here. And the rest, I guess, of some kind of Indian origin, is it?
Yes.
Mostly, maybe 1 or 2 from... Anyone from Nepal? No one from there. Where's their Nepalese embassy? Where are they? Huh? There she is, Nepal. Nepal! Jai Nepal! They're taking over the temple, I saw, in Radha Gopinath temple. The Nepalese are moving in. Anywhere else? Because some of you were born here, some of the younger ones. Born in Australia. Here he is. Ghana, Aussie. Most of the youngsters are Aussies. Mostly. Keisha, you were born here? Yes. Been here a long time now, huh? How many? 20, 21 years? 20 years. You've never, where's Naveen? Where is he? There he is. You've been here 20 years plus, huh?
25 years.
25, because we were together in Auckland, you know, for some years there in the 90s, huh? Yeah, in the 90s. Hare Krishna. So, what would you like us to do? Huh?
What would you like to do?
Speak about civil engineering?
We would like to serve you Prashadam Maharaj.
Not yet. Come on.
Would like to hear from you
Some
pastime of
prasadam katha. There's probably more stories in ISKCON about prasadam than kirtan and prasadam than anything else, huh? Lots of kirtan and prasadam stories everywhere. And, of course, I'm sure they've mellowed down a little bit, but how many times of coming to your previous house, huh? Your previous house, Navadeep, huh? Used to, a little bit smaller, a little bit. This is taller than the other one was wider. It's just, even the roof ceiling's higher than the width of the other one. Very high ceiling. It's just for those who really like to jump in the kirtan. Ooh. High, isn't it? What's it about 18, 17, 16 feet high? 16?
Yeah, of course.
Close to 16. What do you think, civil engineer? About 16 feet is okay?
My brain doesn't function.
It's high enough. You're not responsible for this.
I
Huh?
only understand metric systems.
Pardon?
I
Oh, it's about 5 meters high. Yeah, about 5 meters high. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Huh? Pardon? What do you say?
Too early in the morning.
Too early in the morning. Yeah, yeah. Far too early. Yeah. I think you said that to me one time. I asked you, what's your favorite activity? I think you said sleep. Yeah. Uh-huh. For kids. It hasn't changed, has it, eh? It's a release sometimes, isn't it, sleep? It's not so much a positive enjoyment. It's a relief from the stress of being awake for some people. And sometimes you just can't, we're just out of our control. But in one sense, it's kind of strange, isn't it? You kind of lie down, you kind of disappear, don't you? Don't know what's going on. And you wake up sometime, you hope you do anyway. Sleep. Go deep into the mode of ignorance. Well, let's read something. What have you got here to read? What should we read, Kana? What should we read? Kana, what should we read?
We can read like Pastimes of Krishna.
Okay, go and get the pastimes of Krishna. Go and get them.
Any book you read.
Not any book. Never know what books they've got in the back there.
Can you hear the back at all? No, not really. Yeah, I can. Sorry, Raj, if I don't mind, just maybe. Can I use your microphone? Maybe it's. I think your speaker system is probably better. Yes. Sorry.
Oh, there we are. The Krishna book. This is probably part 2 of the Krishna book. It is, volume 2. And I'm sure everybody here has read the Krishna book. Have you all read the book? It's literally called Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what it's called. What other books can you find in the world today which tell you about the pastimes of the personality of Godhead? Which other line or religion, spiritual practice practically? Of course, we have our other sampradayas, which obviously also present, maybe from a slightly different angle, the personality of Godhead in his life, his pastimes, his transcendental nature. But not much. But this book is nothing but, there's 2 volumes. This is volume 2. Is it clearer or not?
Yes.
They won't know if they can't hear. They're simply sitting silent at the back. They don't know what I'm saying, so they don't know they don't know the question. You sure? You can hear it or not? Otherwise, I could sit there and speak this way or something. It'd be easier to hear, and the sound will come in. It's such a high ceiling, it's all going up there. See, when I don't have a mic, I speak loudly. With a mic, I don't know how loud to speak. And this is a summary. Just a few drops. I guess people in the world, they like to hear stories, huh? Isn't it? About people, famous people. Who's the most popular these days? Huh? Donald Trump, is it? You have a book about him? Not yet. No. I don't know, maybe there's some books about him. They're probably afraid to write a book right now. But I think the most popular book of course it's a total fiction, as far as I know, it's Harry Potter, isn't it? I think it's a fiction, isn't it? Something imaginative, something which people, in one sense it has, of everything we can think of, as we know, has maybe not exactly in the form that we think of it, but everything has a reality behind it. You can't think of it unless you've had some actual experience of that scene of some kind or another. It might be jumbled up, and probably usually give the example of a pig flying in the sky. Have you ever seen flying pigs? You've seen a pig? And you've seen flying, huh? So it kind of gets a bit jumbled up. You see in your dream, and you see a flying pig, maybe. I hope you don't all dream of flying pigs tonight. Or when you fall asleep during the class, and dream of flying pigs. Could be worse. And whatever we let's say, we may be dreaming it, but we've had some connections, all connected to an actual conscious experience in the past. This life, maybe not, maybe previous life. You wonder where that comes from. Sometimes it might be a previous lifetime, but it's there in our, it's like a camera that takes millions and billions of pictures, and they're all stored there. The difference with this particular situation is not that they're just totally isolated pictures. The conscious living entity, the pictures take mold. They mold a general character. The details may be unseen, but they make, you can say they mold the person, that's what we normally say, although it's not the exact person, but it's the situation of the person in this world, the character which we have, our nature, even our body, our associates, everything, is a result of, well, we call it karma if you wish, our karmas from lifetime after lifetime. What we have, whatever baggage we have right now. But there's lots more, that's only at this moment of time. Just like a film, now it's probably a different technology, and some of you may remember, some of you are a senior, but back in the 50s, I don't know, perhaps they're still there, they had these, we had our, once in a while our father would show us this films, and you have to wind it like this, there's some big reel, and you wind it, you have to physically wind it, and then there'd be these click, 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 click pictures rapidly on the screen, forming a kind of a bit of a jumpy kind of a film, going round and round. Well, Prabhupada describes, it's described in the third canto of Bhagavatam, I think it's third canto, how that's that's, in a sense, that's what we're experiencing now. An unwinding series of pictures reflected on our consciousness, which we're seeing. We're seeing an unending film going on in front of us. In this lifetime, then another lifetime, another movie. This lifetime is one movie with many scenes. And then whatever happens in this life, and then another one, like that. It's going on. And there's many aparabdas, they're all stored. They've not manifest yet, but they'll manifest in the future. And when we finish this human body, if we don't really need a human body just to eat and sleep and mate and defend, do we? Is that all we can do with our human body? Of course it's not. We try to utilize it for many things, but primarily it's centered on those activities of eating and sleeping, mating and defending. Defending includes, place to live, clothing your body, paraphernalia for the body, all the makeup that the men like to use these days, and ladies, like to use these days. And whatever else. And travel is to get money so we can eat, sleep, mate and defend. I hope we get some happiness out of all of that. But it's basically the same thing, just, everything is kind of related to that, especially mating, the attraction of interaction between men and women and so on and so forth. And basically the animals, although they may not be so sophisticated, they may not seem to be so responsible sometimes, or maybe they do, but they're doing basically the same thing. They may not have little tiny bungalows like this in some suburb of Sydney. They may have a very nice big hole in the ground. Same thing though, isn't it? They have a hole in the ground, or they have a nest in a bird nest, or a cave, whatever it is, something or another. And they're doing the same thing, spending most of their energy trying to get food, maybe having some sexual interactions with their female or male species, and making some defense, defending themselves, defending their family or whatever, making some nest, and sleeping. They don't need to go to university for that. They don't need to spend, I don't know how much houses like this cost, $50,000? More than 50? More than 50. Sachinanda Prabhu, you were in the business. You were heading up that little house you were building out there on the northwest side of Sydney. Krishna's house. I don't want to embarrass anyone here. Ask them how much this cost, but I would imagine it's more than $50,000 per square meter. Huh? Some places it's like that, isn't it? You pay more than that per square meter now. So in some cities, the centre of Paris, you can pay 50,000 euros per square meter. It's ridiculous. Maybe more, I don't know. Very expensive. So anyway, it's nice. So people read all these various novels and books of knowledge. Sometimes you see, I eat, sleep, think, drink, whatever, cricket or whatever it is, rugby, football, something like that. Their consciousness is focused on this mundane activity. Such an unfortunate waste of human life. So if you don't really need a human life for that, but then you may get your animal body or your plant body or your bird body, whatever it is, to play out your karmas of your human life. Human life is a very special privilege. Kamasya nendriya pritya labho jiveti yavata jivasya tatvajignas natoyascha karma bhi. What's the human life is meant for jivasya tatvajignas? To inquire, or to find out what the nature of the absolute truth is. Inquiry. Research, scientific research, there's nothing wrong with scientific research at all if it's geared or it comes to that point of establishing the personality of Godhead as the origin of everything. One wonderful young man last night, I don't know if he's here today, I don't know his name, or perhaps he mentioned it, asked this, didn't ask a question, he just made a point that his inspiration about the Hare Krishna movement is that he really wants to know, the absolute origins of everything, something like that. What is the origin behind everything? It's interesting, isn't it? This natural, intelligent person will want to know, where do I come from? Isn't it? If you ask most people, where do you come from, what will they say? Blacktown. If they came from Blacktown, okay, they'll say Blacktown, or Liverpool, or I don't know where you come from, Auburn. Anyone from Auburn? Huh? Auburn? Anyone from Auburn? No? I love it. Our Muslim brothers and sisters live there, isn't it? Muslim suburb. Been there on Sankirtan a few times. Chatswood, Hurstville, North Sydney. I'm from North Sydney. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Hurstville. Where are you from? That's all they know, isn't it? And they say, no, I mean, what about your family? Where are they from? Oh, they're from Fiji, or they're from whatever, Gujarat or something. That's about it, isn't it, really? Then you say, you ask your parents when you're young sometimes, Mummy, where do I come from? Yeah, 2 or 3-year-old kid. Where do I come from, Mummy? And she might say the same thing, but that's not really. Oftentimes you ask, where do I come from? They give you a different answer, They can't explain the actual science or the actual process of birth and how it comes about. That's beyond the child's capacity of that. They'll say something else. Oh, one day this stork, you see these birthday cards, isn't it? And oftentimes they have a picture of a stork, this bird with a long beak, and then there's these strings with a basket and a little baby inside the basket. They say one day a stork came and dropped you in the house or something, I don't know if anyone ever believes that. Maybe at a certain point of time, I don't know. Some say, I don't know if they say anything in India or not, maybe that doesn't arise, but in England it's a common thing. We found you underneath a cabbage. That's why you're like a cabbage now. They don't say that. Underneath a gooseberry bush, that's another one. My parents told me they bought me in Woolworths. That's why the population of England's going down, because there's no Woolworths stores anymore. They've all closed down. They're all moving to Australia. At least the English people. You don't know. They have no idea really what's going on. You have these impressions. And life goes on, really, with that same ignorance, that same illusion. And we just read and think about what type of things do people like to hear about. I guess they like to hear about, to some degree, I mean, not that much, but some degree, politics, sport, what else? War. I mean, oh, that's terrible, but everyone likes to hear about it, don't they? It's terrible, in one sense. If you're in the middle of it, then you know it. It's kind of like you can't help but, take your attention. COVID. You had a lot of COVID down here, or at least you had a lot of paranoia about it. I don't know how much you had it, but the whole world was practically hijacked in a sense, Everywhere. Day and night, people talking about it. Day and night. Diverting our attention from the real purpose of human life. So many diversions are there. But human life is meant to be kept simple. Now we have social media, which of course spreads the news all over. Before, if you lived in Australia, something happened in Europe, you'd never know about it. Never. You wouldn't have to think about it, would you? What difference does it make if there's, some kind of riot in Paris? What difference does it make to you here? Maybe some economic effect because of the modern society, but very little. It really doesn't matter, does it? Yet it's all over the news and people are talking about it, occupying our attention, filling our consciousness with news of the world. It's the same thing, just different labels going on. Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he was asked by the Yaksha, what's the news of the world? What's the news of the world? Well, if I ask you, what's the news of the world, what will you say? What would you say, Keshava? Tell me the news of the world.
America's gone crazy.
Pardon?
America's gone crazy.
It's gone crazy, has it? Tell me some of the crazy news.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Pardon?
Donald Trump and Elon Musk have done a lot.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk have done a lot. That doesn't tell me what they've done, but we won't get into that. This is on. What else is news of the world, huh? What would you, people, what's, I don't know, what's the news of the world?
The Palestinian and the Israeli.
That's still going on, huh? There's some protest, I think. I don't know if it was here or where, somewhere. Just now we heard there's some protest. The Harinam couldn't go on. Some protest is there. People are protesting. And still it goes on. That one may end. Another one will start. And then again, the same thing goes on. And then another one, same thing goes on. Somebody's been elected. Somebody's been, whatever. Coup has taken place somewhere. So all kinds of stuff in the news, which occupies people's attention. Australia, playing cricket. For Australia, they're all Indians now, aren't they, in the Australian cricket team? Won't be long. It'll be India versus India. What to do? But Yudhishthira Maharaj, he didn't say, the news of the world is that we have been exiled. We've been usurped. Our kingdom has been usurped by the cheating of Duryodhana and his party. That's the news. He didn't say that. He said this world is like a cauldron. You know a cauldron? What's a cauldron?
Fire burns.
Yeah, well, it burns underneath the cauldron. It's sometimes used differently, but he described it as like that. There's a cauldron is like with a fire burning and a big pot on top. It's especially used in terms of witches, the witch's cauldron. Big pot. And then put the fire underneath. And then, you put different things inside. Some lizard's legs, some, all kinds of different things go in there. And they stir it up. So he said, this world is just like a cauldron. And he described how the sun is just like the fire, burning underneath the cauldron. And the days and nights there, I can't remember all the details, like the spoons or something, stirring the ingredients of the pot, Everything's being stirred. And then he said, the ingredients of the pot, because Maya's like the witch, stirring it, but the ingredients of the pot are all the living entities being cooked alive by time. That's the news of the world. There is no other news. Every one of us is being cooked alive by time in that pot, the cauldron, by time. Fighting against time, trying to utilize our time, but we don't know what is time or what time's meant for. Ideally, time is meant for freeing us from that cauldron. But unfortunately, we're busy trying to make everything more comfortable in that situation, isn't it? How's it going? Not too bad. The temperature's gone down 2 degrees. It's only 14 million degrees now. Feeling better. Getting better. I'm doing better. I've got a nicer house in the boiling pot. Nice house in the boiling pot. Whatever it is, nice body for a short moment. But we're all inside that pot. Every living entity, the whole material world, is like that. It looks quite nice sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. Depending on one's karma, one will see different things and feel different things. And still, it's the world of Macha Loka, it's the world of death, where everything comes to an end. So reading all these various literatures about activities within the pot is not going to help us get out of the pot. You may be fascinated by it. Everyone's that's Maya's trick. She captures everyone's attention, doesn't she? In different ways. She captures the male, well, actually not, it's not really true. She captures every living entity by the beautiful form of a woman. Female form. The attention, the soul. And then the soul becomes attached to a woman and takes birth as a woman. And the soul who was in a woman's body, who became attached to a man, takes birth as a man. And this goes on as ad infinitum in different species of life. It's not that, you're a man. You're in a male body, that's all. Or you're a woman. We're just in those bodies. And we're becoming attracted accordingly to other bodies or forms of this world, sounds of this world, smells of this world, tastes of this world, and touches, there's touch and so on. It's the nature. But that's not the real purpose. Human life is to inquire how to get out of the pot. And one major aspect of that, because Kana asked if we could read about the pastimes of Krishna or hear about them. And so he's bought a book, and this is called Krishna. Now, for those who are infatuated with the material pot, this may not be very interesting. They can't relate to it very well. Like if you turn, I don't know where we're looking here, towards the end here somewhere, I don't know where it is. Okay, here's a nice story. The super excellent power of Krishna. This is chapter 89. How many chapters are there in the Krishna book? Who knows? How many chapters?
9.
Well done. You just looked it up on your mobile, isn't it? No. Okay, good. 90 chapters. And we've just gone through chapter, 87 or something, is it? It's 87. Favorite chapter, isn't it? Everyone's favorite chapter. We could read it today, but we'll only have lunch tomorrow at this time. Yeah, 87. The prayers by the personified Vedas. I'm sure you will love that chapter. It's about 90 pages long. And deep philosophy. But this chapter is a very good lesson to learn. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The other thing is we're always trying to make ourselves comfortable. It's just like this chair is quite comfortable. But why? Because we're not comfortable in this body. We're always trying to find ways to make the body comfortable. Nice soft beds, nice soft chairs, nice comfortable car to drive in, and so on. Nice smells, different things. So this is chapter 89. If you have access to it, you can follow if you wish, of the Krishna book. First book I ever got, actually, Krishna Conscious book, was this one. Not this edition. This is a very much later edition. I got the first edition, the very first one, volume 2. I didn't notice that. I bought it in they call occult bookstore, like a alternate bookstore in London. I was looking. I went to the temple to buy a Bhagavad Gita. They didn't have any. So then on my way back to the station, I looked into some bookstores, which I knew because we'd been there before buying different things. And I found a Krishna book in one of these shops there, volume 2. Big book, very big, hardbound. The first edition was 2 volumes, the next was 3. The first edition was 2 big volumes, really big, and the writing was really big. It was really amazingly attractive. It was silver cover. The second one had Nasti, or I think Natchi on the front cover. Deity of Krishna on the front cover, red deity, dressed in red, black deity dressed in red, silver, red writing, Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. It was just standing out there like anything, so I purchased that. I didn't read it because I thought, let me get volume 1 first and start from the beginning. But I would just look at it and just look at the pictures, which Prabhupada said are the windows to the spiritual world. Huh? Just looking at those amazing pictures, they were different to the ones you have now. They have all more modern art. Maybe 1 or 2 are still the same. There's not many in the present editions compared to those. There must have been like 48 pictures in each book in those days, I think it was. So many paintings. Very simple, very beautiful, very colorful. So here we have the super excellent power of Krishna. Long, long ago, there was an assembly of great sages on the bank of the river Saraswati who performed a great sacrifice of the name Satra. In such assemblies, the great sages present usually discuss Vedic subject matters and philosophical topics. And in this particular meeting, the following question was raised. That's what they used to meet for. People used to gather in huge numbers just to hear Krishna Katha. Now they gather to watch sport or something like that. And then maybe sometimes they go to the church or temple. The 3 predominating deities of this material world, namely Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, are directing all the affairs of this cosmos. But who among them is the supreme? This is the question they asked. After much discussion on this question, the great sage named Bhrigu, the son of Lord Brahma, was deputed to test all 3 predominating deities and report to the assembly as to who is the greatest. Being thus deputed, the great sage, Bhrigu Muni, first of all went to his father's residence in Brahmaloka. He was the son of Lord Brahma. The 3 deities are the controllers of the 3 material qualities, namely the qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance. The plan decided upon by the sages was for Bhrigu to test which one of the predominating deities possesses the quality of goodness in full. Therefore, when Bhrigu Muni reached his father, Lord Brahma, because Bhrigu wanted to test whether Brahma had the quality of goodness, he purposely did not offer his respects to his father, either by offering obeisances or by offering prayers. It is the duty of a son or a disciple to offer respects and recite suitable prayers when he approaches his father or his spiritual master. But Bhrigu Muni purposely failed to offer respects just to see Lord Brahma's reaction to this negligence. Lord Brahma was very angry at his son's impudence, and he showed signs which definitely proved this to be so. He was even prepared to condemn Bhrigu by cursing him, but because Bhrigu was his son, Lord Brahma controlled his anger with his great intelligence. This means that although the quality of passion was prominent in Lord Brahma, he had the power to control it. Lord Brahma's anger and his controlling his anger are likened to fire and water. Water is produced from fire at the beginning of creation, but fire can be extinguished with water. Similarly, although Lord Brahma was very angry due to his quality of passion, he could still control his passion because Bhrigu Muni was his son. After testing Lord Brahma, Bhrigu Muni went directly to Mount Kailash, where Lord Shiva resided. Bhrigu Muni happened to be Lord Shiva's brother. Therefore, as soon as Bhrigu Muni approached, Lord Shiva was very glad and personally rose to embrace him. But when Lord Shiva approached Bhrigu Muni, Bhrigu refused to embrace him. "My dear brother," he said, "you are always very impure. Because you smear your body with ashes, you are not very clean. Please do not touch me." When Bhrigu Muni refused to embrace his brother, saying that Lord Shiva was impure, the latter became very angry with him. It is said that an offense can be committed either with the body, with the mind, or by speech. Bhrigu Muni's first offense, committed toward Lord Brahma, was an offense with the mind. His second offense, committed toward Lord Shiva, by insulting him, criticizing him for unclean habits, was an offense by speech. Because the quality of ignorance is prominent in Lord Shiva, when he heard Bhrigu's insult, his eyes immediately became red with anger. With uncontrollable rage, he took up his trident and prepared to kill Bhrigu Muni. At that time, Lord Shiva's wife Parvati was present. Her personality, like Lord Shiva's, is a mixture of the three qualities, and therefore she is called Trigunamayi. In this case, she saved the situation by evoking Lord Shiva's quality of goodness. She fell down at the feet of her husband, and with her sweet words, she talked him out of killing Bhrigu Muni. After being saved from the anger of Lord Shiva, Bhrigu Muni went directly to the planet Shvetadweep, where Lord Vishnu was lying on a bed of flowers in the company of his wife, the goddess of fortune, who was engaged in massaging his lotus feet. There, Bhrigu Muni purposely committed the greatest sin by offending Lord Vishnu by his bodily activity. The first offense committed by Bhrigu Muni was mental, the second was vocal, and the third offense was corporal. These different offenses are progressively greater in degree. An offense committed within the mind is a positive offense. We have the same thing in society, don't we? If you think bad of somebody, nothing really happens as far as punishment goes, does it? If you walk, maybe they've got some technology now, you may be detected that you're thinking negatively about someone, you might get arrested because you're thinking negative. Maybe they will come up with technology like that. You know, you got arrested because you were thinking negatively about the leader of society or about somebody else, you know, and you were arrested. But I don't know if I don't think they have. You're entitled to have your own mental thoughts, not so punishable, although you do actually suffer internally from it. But if you speak ill of somebody, you may be charged with some kind of, what do they call it? Huh? Defamation of character or something. You may be. Certainly people can accuse you of that. You may get fined or something or whatever. But if you actually punch somebody or kill them or do something physical to the person, then you are subjected to physical punishments. So we go on, the greater degree. An offense committed with the mind is a positive offense. The same offense committed verbally is comparatively more grave, and when committed by bodily action, it is superlative in offensiveness. You certainly get more punishment for that, that's for sure. So Bhrigu Muni committed the greatest offense by kicking the chest of the Lord with his foot in the presence of the goddess of fortune. Can you imagine? Kicking the Supreme Lord's chest, and the goddess of fortune is right there massaging his feet. And there was no apparent reason. It wasn't like, you know, the Lord had, you know, punched him or something. None. He just came up and just gave him a kick. considered very I mean, to kick somebody nowadays may not be taken so seriously, but traditionally to kick someone is a very offensive act. Of course, Lord Vishnu is all merciful. He did not become angry at the activities of Bhrigu Muni, for Bhrigu Muni was a great Brahmana. A Brahmana is to be excused even if he sometimes commits an offense, and Lord Vishnu set the example. Yet, it is said that from the time of this incident, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, has not been very favorably disposed toward the Brahmanas. And therefore, because the goddess of fortune withholds her benedictions from them, the Brahmanas are generally very poor. I'm an exception. I'm not a Brahmin anyway. A little different, when you're trying to use everything for Krishna's pleasure. Not traditionally, but quite often the Brahmin community, at least genuine Brahmin community, maybe not modern day Brahmins or engaged in all kinds of businesses, but traditionally the genuine Brahmin community are usually quite poor in terms of wealth or property and so on. Not that they mind that, by the way, they're quite happy like that. Bhrigu Muni's kicking the chest of Lord Vishnu with his foot was certainly a great offense. But Lord Vishnu is so great that he did not care. How do you feel when somebody doesn't show you any respect? We were discussing this morning. How do you feel? Somebody does not show you any respect. You feel good? Not really. You might not care too much about them, so you're not worried too much. What if they speak ill of us? You feel? How do you feel? They're speaking bad about us. How do you feel? Pardon?
You feel hurt about it and you might want to...
Generally, I mean, we're talking in general terms here. I mean, if you're more advanced in consciousness, you may not. Generally, people will feel very bad, or they feel whatever. It depends on each and every individual. Some people will become angry. Some people will argue back and shout at you back. Hey, Prabhu, you're just, what do they call people in this country? What's the sort of word? Hey, you're just a what? A bum? They use that word here, do they? Whoa. Heavy word. Dude. They still use that word, dude? You're just a dude, mate. Talk about yourself, will you? Shut your mouth. You're nothing but a big fat dude. Get out of here. Or flatten your nose. Right? They react like that or something, you know. F off or something. Right? React with some aggressive response. Sometimes they may physically whack you, isn't it? And others may be, oh no, oh my God, it's like terrible. It pains the heart for some people who are softer. They don't react necessarily, but it reacts in their hearts. Huh? They walk away, but they feel real bad. Not many people think, oh, that was really nice. Actually, I am a dude, and they're really kindly pointing it out to me. I better do something about it. Not many people say that, but maybe some. But you feel hurt. If someone comes up and literally smashes you in the face, how do you feel? Do you say, thank you? Thanks. Oh, thank you. Please do it again. That was so kind of you to smash me. You just relieved me of a lot of karma. I doubt whether even devotees immediately react like that, do they? Maybe not. I've seen, we've all seen, we've all had that experience of our own reactions, how we react to circumstances. And many times devotees are really absorbed in this type of stuff that, they really can't let go of somebody who's got it in for you. We absorb our mind. It's really a test of Maya's testing us. Anger comes out in various ways. And here we have situation, if you're lying down asleep, I'll point to Keshava Prabhu, but if you're lying down asleep and, somebody just comes up and kicks you full blast in your chest, what would you do? Die? Did you say die? I hope not. Cry or die? Huh? Huh? Fly? Cry? Really? You're still crying, huh? You may cry, but let's say who's a big, strong, muscular man here? Here we are. Harinam. Huh? Yeah, you look big and strong. What if someone came up and kicked you in the chest when you're lying down resting? What would you do? You get up. If you're a genuine Aussie, you'd probably get up and give them a big hug. No. They probably wish they never kicked you after a few moments. Give them a good piece of your mind, physical. Give them a good smack. Usually that's what we do. Oh, different reactions are there, but it definitely isn't a very good way to make friends with somebody, that's for sure. Bhrigu Muni's kicking the chest of Lord Vishnu with his foot was certainly a great offense, but Lord Vishnu, we read that, didn't we? It was the greatest offense. The so-called Brahmins of the Kali Yuga are sometimes very proud that a great Brahmin like Lord Bhrigu could kick the chest of Lord Vishnu with his foot. Almost proud of it. But in fact, when Bhrigu Muni kicked the chest of Lord Vishnu with his foot, it was the greatest offense, although Lord Vishnu, being greatly magnanimous, did not take it very seriously. Instead of being angry or cursing Bhrigu Muni, Lord Vishnu immediately got up from his bed along with his wife, the goddess of fortune, and offered respectful obeisances to the Brahmin. Would you do that? If someone came in the middle of the night, kicked you and you're sleeping, you get up and offer obeisances to them for kicking you. He addressed Bhrigu Muni as follows: My dear Brahmana, it is my greatest fortune that you've come here. Please, therefore, sit down on this cushion for a few minutes. My dear Brahmin, I'm very sorry that when you first entered my home, I could not receive you properly. It was a great offense on my part, and I beg you to pardon me. You are so pure and great that the water which washes your feet can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Therefore I request you to purify the Vaikuntha planet where I live with my associates. My dear Father, O great sage, I know that your feet are very soft like a lotus flower, and that my chest is as hard as a thunderbolt. He's addressing him as his father. The Brahmins are considered like the father of society because they're guiding the whole society. Lord Vishnu himself worships the Brahmins, although they come from him. Nonetheless, he worships them. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya. They're very dear to the Lord. I'm therefore afraid. And he's saying, I hope that my hard chest did not in any way cause pain to your soft lotus foot. I am therefore afraid that you may have felt some pain by kicking my chest with your feet. Let me touch your feet, just to relieve the pain you have suffered. Lord Vishnu then began to massage the feet of Bhrigu Muni. The Lord continued to address Bhrigu Muni. My dear Lord, he said. He's addressing Brigu as the Lord. My chest has now become sanctified because of the touch of your feet, and I am now assured that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, will be very glad to live there perpetually. Another name of Lakshmi is Chanchala. Chanchala. What does Krishna, where does he use this word in the Bhagavad Gita? Chanchalam. The mind. More flickering than the wind. Huh? It's like a little child. I was with one disciple this morning, and they have a young boy, a little boy, 3 years old. His name is not Chanchala, but he definitely is Chanchala. He couldn't stay still for more than about 2 seconds. Even with the toy, his occupation was spanned with one toy was maximum 5 seconds. Then another one, and another one, and another one, and then go in and sit there, move here, push that, hit this, scream this, never stopping for a second. Chanchala. Children are very chanchala. Adults, maybe not so much, but the mind is very chanchala, isn't it? Doesn't stay still very, very long, does it? Very hard to have a peaceful mind in this world. Very hard. So, the goddess of fortune is Chanchala. How long can you keep your wealth? Maybe, from our point of view, maybe some time, but in reality of time, it's very little. It doesn't stay long. It comes and it goes. So better use it for Krishna. Can you keep your wealth forever? Can you keep this house? Where's he gone? Can you keep this house forever? No? Why not? It's material, okay. It's material. Nothing material stays forever, does it? The energy does, but the form doesn't. It just breaks down. Even the most powerful person of Hiranyakashipu broke down. Even the most powerful, strongest building in the universe breaks down. Even the planets break down. The universe breaks down eventually. Everything breaks down. Everything's controlled by time. And Lakshmi, when it comes to wealth, it doesn't stay. You may have it for a short while because of your karmas, but it doesn't stay. You can't take it with you when you go. Can you? Can you bribe Yamaraj? How many of you are billionaires? Hand up the billionaires. Come on, don't be shy. I'm not going to hit you up. How many billionaires are here? Come on, you know. Where is he? How many billionaires are here? Come on. Huh? They don't tell, do they? Misers. Some of you have to be millionaires having these lovely big houses, that's for sure. But how long can you keep it? Maybe, maybe not. You know, people are sometimes envious of rich people sometimes. Right? But actually we should be sorry in a sense that they're accumulating money for their own purposes or for mundane purposes, and they're actually accumulating tremendous karma. And unless they really use it for materially pious reasons, it's bad karma that they're accumulating. Even if it isn't, they're still getting karma, tremendous karma, to bind them up in this material world, lifetime after lifetime. Who's really doing good things? Everything in this world is mixed with ignorance. Nobody's really doing really truly good things. It's all mixed with passion and ignorance. Even if there is a touch of intent, of good intent, which is fine, but it's mixed with passion and ignorance. If they use that money in the service of Krishna, then that very money is the cause, like a thorn. When you have a thorn stuck in your skin, you take another thorn or a needle to get it out. That same money, which can be the greatest cause, if not properly utilized. There was an old song, again in the 50s, money is the root of all evil. You heard that song? And if it's still around, who was that sang that? I don't know, somebody. Money is the root of all evil. It's not the root of all evil. It's the misuse of money, which is the root of all evil, you could say. It goes beyond that, of course. It's our own turning away from Krishna. Prabhupada says the greatest sin, do you know what the greatest sin is in this world? The greatest sin. Some people say maybe killing cows. Some people may say what they say. I don't know. People say different things, I guess. What's the greatest sin? Pardon? Somebody said something? Killing the what? Pardon? You're probably right. I can't hear.
I think she said Vaishnava Aparad.
Vaishnava is not a sin. That's on another platform altogether, Vaishnava Aparad. That's a totally different thing. Well, it's not totally different, but it's not considered a sin. Sin are simply mundane material interactions which have a karmic reaction.
Killing somebody.
Yeah, maybe killing another human being, or many human beings, killing children. Many people say that abortion and things is the greatest sin. Anything else? Killing cows we've had. Maybe, killing millions of innocent citizens by pressing a button, the bomb goes off. Because no one's really innocent, but you know what I mean. Prabhupada said the greatest sin is to identify with the body. To think you're the body. Because from that, all the other sins come. Everything else comes from that false identity. That's the real sin of life. Is thinking I'm this body. And practically every single living being is in that situation. Therefore everyone is sinful, one way or another. Where are we? Her chanchala, flickering. Whereas in the Vaikuntha planet, she eternally lives at the lotus feet of the Lord. Because Lakshmi is famous as Chanchala, Lord Narayana indicated that she might not have been living perpetually by his chest, but because his chest had been touched by the feet of Brigamuni, it was now sanctified, and there was no chance that the goddess of fortune would leave. This is how he was thinking. We're going to lose everything, so why not use it in Krishna service? Why keep something which is going to entangle us further in the material world, when we can use it in a way which will release us from the material world? We can learn a lot from this pastime. What would you say you can learn from this pastime? Try to think of one thing. What can we learn? Pardon? Somebody said, one of you young ladies? Yes? Did you speak? So one of you two spoke? No? I heard something coming from over there. Maybe it was hunger. Okay. The only thing I've learned about this is when are you going to finish so I can have my lunch? I learned never to come to one of your programs again. What else? Any lessons to learn? Anything to learn back there? Oh, you boys are very strong looking. Anything to learn? Very shy. Anything? Nothing? Huh? Tolerance, okay. That's something you can perceive here, but in our own lives, yeah, okay, to be more tolerant. Lord Vishnu. He wasn't just tolerant, we spoke about that this morning, but we didn't pursue it actually. Didn't carry the line. More tolerant than a tree. Lord Vishnu didn't just tolerate, did he? What did he do? Well, he certainly was very humble, but what did he do? Huh? Yeah, he massaged Bhrigu Muni's feet. He apologized. He apologized for causing him inconvenience of any kind. If someone's got an issue with us, that means, there's not by chance, materially speaking, it means we've given them a hard time sometime in a previous life or this. So he apologized for my hard chest. I hope your soft lotus feet must be pained having come in contact with my hard chest. He was praising him, glorifying him, thanking him for coming. He wasn't just tolerating it. So that's an interesting lesson which we can think about, isn't it? When somebody criticizes us or whatever, we're not on that level. We may have to react for other reasons, of course, but in terms of defending our body or something, or others' bodies. But internally we feel like this. Either we feel sorry for them, or we thank them for, whatever. Interesting. How we react to situations is probably the lesson to learn from the first incident. How to react. That really determines what mode of nature is influencing us. And mostly we react mode of ignorance and passion, isn't it? Mostly. Of the influences upon us. We get angry. We may be able to control it. Lord Shiva was able to control his anger. To some extent, Lord Brahma, of course, controlled his anger. So usually passion and ignorance are the prominent modes controlling us. Even if we don't express it in the mind, we are angry at a situation. One in the mode of goodness sees it a bit beyond that. And one in transcendental goodness, one in the mode of goodness may tolerate. One who is transcendental sees things differently in relationship with Krishna. That's another big topic. Many aspects we discussed this morning a little bit. And the other point, what else can you learn here? Tolerance is one. Anything else?
Seek forgiveness.
Pardon?
Seek forgiveness.
Huh?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Yeah, well, you can definitely learn forgiveness from this. Although, one who's actually advanced, sometimes you say, Maharaj, please forgive me. Well, there's nothing to forgive in the first place. Because a pure devotee never takes offense. Doesn't take offense. For the sake of the other person, they say, whatever it is, I forgive you. But there's really nothing to forgive anyway. There is really nothing. When we say forgiving, it's still seeing things to a large extent in relationship with the material energy. Not from the spiritual platform. From the spiritual platform, there is nothing to forgive. At least not on my part. You may say, please forgive me. Yeah, forgiveness is a nice one. In regards to forgiveness, I never forget an incident in Vrindavan. One time in 1976, I was asked to, out of the blue, I didn't go there with any, I was just another young devotee visiting India, but they asked me to on behalf of the devotees, not to manage the actual place, but to manage the devotees in that place. There were about 300 to 400 devotees staying in the Fogler Ashram. You know the Fogler Ashram in Vrindavan? You know that one? It's still there, I think. Well, that was about the only ashram in those days. There was nowhere to stay. Every single devotee, unless they were staying in the Krishna Balaram guest house, which was only the elite. But everyone else had to stay in the Fogler Ashram. It was pretty simple in those days, really simple. Nobody could afford anything else. There weren't any. Between the Fogler Ashram is about what, half a mile, miles or kilometers? At least half a kilometer, if not more, from the Krishna Balaram Mandir. If you go on the Bhaktivedanta Marg, Chatigar Marg, whatever it's called, towards Vrindavan, from the Krishna Balaram temple, on the left-hand side, maybe 500, 600, 700 meters on the left, is the Fogler Ashram. There was nothing beyond the Fogler ashram except for Krishna Balaram Mandir. The whole road all the way to Chatikar, there were a few huts, one or two, simple kind of stores selling something from time to time. But no structured building. There was one ashram next to the Krishna Balaram temple, the Shanti ashram. I won't tell you what devotees used to call it. Something like, wasn't Shanti, it was something similar to that. And there was maybe one other ashram, even the Maheshwari ashram was not there. None of these ashrams were there. Shanti was there. Other than that, there was practically nothing. It was silent. There was not even one car. You would see one or two cars a day on that road. Huh? Oh, yes, you're good, right. Bon Maharaj's institute was there behind, but that was like back off of the road, It was sitting way back there. And no, that wasn't really an ashram, it was an institute, education institute. That was there, you're correct. There were one or two buildings like that, but it was silent, quiet, no cars, no occasional, no auto rickshaws, just bicycle rickshaws, and that was very rare, only if someone was going to the Krishna Balaram temple or maybe Bon Institute or something, and that was very few and far. We couldn't afford a rickshaw. Everyone would walk to and fro. And it was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop practically. The only noise you'd hear in the morning is the peacocks. The peacocks. Amazing atmosphere. Amazing. A little different than today, isn't it, if you go to Vrindavan? You can hardly cross the road for cars. It's like bumper to bumper. They're trying to stop it. I don't know if they do it, how far they're getting there. But it's like cramped, like sardines almost. There was nobody. It was just a few, and there were no pilgrims hardly coming to the Krishna Balaram temple. Very few. No, it was in the wilds. There was trees around, loads of peacocks sitting on the wall of the Krishna Balaram temple every day. Anyway, they asked me to look after, from the devotee's point of view, the management of that Fogler ashram. I surrendered and tried. But I remember one meeting I had to attend for some reason. The temple president's name was Akshayananda Maharaj. And they'd arranged this program. I think Prabhupada was there, and they invited all the important people of Vrindavan to attend. All the heads of the various temples, and anyone, it was anybody in Vrindavan was invited. But they forgot to invite the mayor, the most important person of all. Somehow or other they forgot. And they had a whole meeting. What happened? And this is terrible. What happened here? And Shayananda was explaining something, and then he said, well, I'm really sorry, it was my fault. And one by one, everyone, about 10 of them, organizing this program, local people, local Indians from Vrindavan, everyone was saying, no, please, Prabhu, it was my fault. It was really my fault. It wasn't your fault. It was my fault. No, it's my fault. They didn't fight over it, but they were all accepting responsibility like that. They weren't blaming anyone else. They were taking responsibility. So devotees see that. When we have a hard time, this is another lesson to learn. When something's difficulties, the tendency of a conditioned soul is often to blame something or somebody, isn't it? Isn't it? We blame someone. It wasn't my fault. It was them. It was hers. You're having a problem in your family life. It was her fault. No, it wasn't. It was his fault. Her fault, his fault, her fault, his fault, her fault, his fault. Back and forth it goes. If there's some situation in your devotional life, the tendency is to blame someone else. It's the GBC, the temple president, my guru. And that's the last stand. No, there's one stand beyond that. It's Krishna's fault. That's the end. But there's a tendency to blame others for our, they may be instrumental in whatever difficulties we go in or we find ourselves in. Sometimes they're very severe. But are they really the cause of that? Are they really the cause? What do you think? You don't think. What do you think? Come on, say something. Oh, okay, say something, don't just think. Who's the cause? How are we what did I do to deserve this? My mother said that when I joined the temple. Said, I was good to you all your life. Why have you done this to me? What have I done to deserve this? She said when I joined the temple. How are we the cause? What have we got to do with it? You can take it right back. We don't look at it like they're in practical dealings always, of course not. But in reality, what happened to us is what is it? Someone else's fault? No. Explain what you mean.
Is it a reaction?
Okay, devotees, anyone who knows the laws of nature understands this is a reaction to my own behavior in the past. Is that right? Yeah, karma. It's my karma, good or bad, call it what you will. If it's bad, then you've done something bad to that person in the past, or something bad in the past, and you're getting a reaction from it to release you from the bad reaction. It's actually a blessing. A devotee, Prabhupada says, the devotee sees suffering as mercy because it's releasing you whatever token bad reactions you've got. And when you're happy, it's also mercy because it's releasing you from the good reactions of the past, which are equally binding. You don't take credit for them. And you may praise the other person in terms of thanking them, but you understand they're just an instrument of karma, that's all. You're not beautiful, you're not ugly. That's just a result of your karma. And that will last a little while, then you haven't got it anymore. Simple as that. Bank account's empty. No money there anymore. No good reaction anymore. So why do we get so angry about these things? Because we identify with this body. And we blame others. We think, we go back. This is a big thing in the world today. It's called wokeism. I don't know if you've heard that term. Wokeism. Wokeism. Not wakeism, wokeism. Not waking up from sleep, wokings. What is that? What does it mean? Huh? What's its heart? There's many aspects to it. What's the heart of it?
Young people might know the term.
The term. You know what it means, Kesh?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's like kind of understanding.
Huh?
Understanding society nowadays and things like that. Or there's different ways you can interpret it.
Oh yeah, in practical terms, what's it founded on?
Well, for the younger generation, wokeism talks about understanding societal structures and things like that.
Understanding society structures.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting philosophical approach.
It's like accepting new things that the older generations didn't really want to accept.
Accepting what?
Accepting new things that the older generations didn't want to accept.
Accepting new things that the older generation did not want to accept.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Is there anything more to it?
That's all us younger generation understand.
Oh, that's not too bad. But there's another angle to it, which is seeing things from one's own perspective. Seeing the world from one's own perspective, which is, of course, normal for every conditioned soul. But to the extent that you see yourself as a victim of circumstances. You've been victimized, either by the previous generation or some situation you find yourselves in. Feeling oneself a victim. And it's very pervasive in many ways. It's become a very pervasive thing even in our own organization in many ways. And of course, from the practical point of view, things have to be dealt with. Not that you just don't care less about anything thus, but from the spiritual point of view, particularly, we should go a little bit beyond that and understand that, everything ultimately has not just a karmic reaction, but it has another purpose too, to try to help us to realize that human life is not all about getting our own way and trying to adjust things in a way which seems to be how we see it. Many times people go back to try to, find that it's not the root, but the root in this life, and poof, press the button that this is the cause of my problem, blaming people for this and that. It's not going to get us out of this world. 1 inch, not 1 inch. It entangles us further and further in this material bodily concept of life. To blame others. Human life, Sri Upanishad said, is a life of responsibility. We have to take responsibility for our situation. And it's a big topic, but it's a big breakthrough in our lives if we can realize that we don't really have anyone to blame. You may have to act. There was one time with the Amish community, they must have been somewhat realized, because there was this horrendous affair that took place some decade or two ago, where many of them were murdered for no reason other than externally, and no other reason except for they were Amish. Somebody didn't like them. And the reaction from their point of view was they got, whoever didn't get murdered, got together, if it was their own children, their own family, and they started to pray for the welfare of the murderer. They started to pray for the murderer's welfare. A somewhat enlightened response, huh? Quite enlightened. Quite enlightened. I was in Penang in 20-something, when the big earthquake in Banda Aceh in Indonesia took place. We had the earthquake there too, and the tsunami and everything. I was talking to one Muslim man the day after who was from Banda Aceh. How do you feel? How do you feel about this? I asked him, what's happening? He said, I don't know. My family are in Banda Aceh. I'm going to try to make my way there as soon as possible, see what's going on. I said, how do you feel? He said, we know that everything ultimately is the will of the Lord, the will of Allah. There's nothing we can do. He was seeing it also from quite a you could say, elevated platform. He wasn't, damn it, whatever it is, why did this happen to me, type of thing. He wasn't blaming anyone, why does God do this to us, or why the devil does this to us or something. He wasn't. He was taking it in a much more realized way. So when we have this type of approach to life, everything can change. Our spiritual life begins to open. Our hearts can begin to become softened. It's only in a soft heart that the Lord places his lotus feet. As long as we have this angry approach, this approach of revenge, this approach of feeling I'm a victim, this approach of blaming others, then it's hard to make any progress in spiritual life. It's a grind. Tough, hard heart. The whole process of Krishna consciousness is softening of the heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the other lesson, the last one we mentioned, of course, was maybe many more, but the money, wealth, Lakshmi, whatever form it takes, whatever form she reciprocates with us, reveals herself to us. We should understand that Lakshmi is meant for the pleasure of Narayan, not for our own pleasure. Lakshmi, goddess of fortune, is the sole property of Lord Narayan, not us. She may, out of her whatever, reciprocation, give a little drop of Lakshmi to us in a sense, but it's not ours, it's hers. She is Lakshmi. It belongs to Narayan. That's another reason, and just for those who are involved, and it's interesting perception, not everyone will see it the same, but our realization, our understanding of one of the reasons why Srila Prabhupada said that, for instance, when you're distributing a book, some of you have distributed books, Prabhupada's books. How many of you've distributed books sometimes? Sachinanda's done many. Nityananda's done many. You've also distributed some books. Maybe you give them away or to friends or relatives. That's wonderful. But just say you're going on to George Street. It's George Street, isn't it? The street in Sydney. Or Pitt Street Mall? No, is it Pitt Street Mall. Say you're there, you're distributing books, or down at the Quay. The Quay? No, it's called the Quay. Circular Quay. Yeah. So wherever you are in Sydney, you're distributing some books there. You know, you're not just giving them away, but you're trying to, approach people and try to get them to take a book, right? It's not easy, is it, those who've tried it? I don't know if any of you have tried that. I mean, you've done that, Nityananda, haven't you? Yeah, I don't know, Sachi, if you've done that. Some of the younger ones, I saw many of them on Friday night distributing books. It was really inspiring. Rasikananda was one of them. He was distributing books. Is it like the same as Paris, or is it, how is it? Rasika?
People are a little bit nicer.
Pardon?
People are, maybe it's a language thing, but people seem a bit more.
People more relaxed, huh? Much more approachable. Everywhere's a little different, but the principle is basically the same. You've got to get a person to stop. They may already have stopped to watch the Harinam, but if there's no Harinam, you have to get them to stop. That's not easy. Then you've got to think what to say to them, right? And then you try to give them the book. Krishna here. For you. Take this book. What's this? It's about Krishna. Oh, or whatever you say, I don't know. But you have to talk to them something. And then you may get their interest in a book. And they say, okay. Well, they may not say anything. You may say something. Or they may say, is it free? Free? You giving it to me? Then what do you say? What do you say then? You sound pretty blunt. You don't waste time there. $10, mate. Keep your book, mate. Keep your book. They're pretty polite over here, to be honest. They use sometimes strong language, but they're actually very polite. Very polite. But the idea is not just that's good. Prabhupada said if they touch the book, they get great benefit, by the way. Even if they see it, they get great benefit. What to speak if they read a word or two in this greatly, imagine an ordinary man on the street of Sydney, in this greatly beautiful city of Dvara. How do you pronounce that? That doesn't exist in the English language, DV. Lord Karsana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What is this? Yeah. An ordinary person is like way above their normal reading, isn't it? And you've got to try to convince them to take this book. Some people, of course, are waiting for it, but very few. And then the hardest part of all, you may have convinced them that the book would be a good thing to read. You may have considered it. They may have gotten them. What's the hardest thing? The $10 part. Asking for the donation or whatever you do. So many of us have a hard time asking. Well, some people are relaxed with it. Well, we're not selling these books. Just we're not selling them. We're just asking. Just to help cover the cost of something, you can throw in a donation or something like that. I think Aussies are much more open-minded in that regard, but it's sometimes pretty hard to ask. You say, well, why don't you just, many people, they say, well, you're a religion. You should give the books free. Right? Many people say that. You should give them free. Well, why not give them free? Pardon? Maybe they throw it away straight away. That's a fact. And they may throw it away even if they give a donation. That risk is there always. But more so than that. More so than that. How do we approach Narayan? How do you approach God? How do you approach him? Through Lakshmi, in one sense. You have to go through his consort, don't you? Isn't it? You can't go say, hey, Radharani, step aside, please. I'm coming in. Step aside, please. Krishna, I'm here. You can't do that, can you? You can't do it. You have to get the blessings of Lakshmi to approach Narayan. And we shall take everything away. So if they don't give a donation, that is, if they haven't got anything, that's okay. But if they have, and they don't give anything, or we don't ask, it's like trying to get Narayan. It's the same thing, the mentality of Ravana. He wants to enjoy Sita without Ram. In this case, we want Ram without Sita. It's like, it's kind of, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's not correct. And if you don't please Sita, if you think that money is belonging to us, and you're not going to give it, then Krishna's not going to reciprocate very favorably, is he? Lakshmi belongs to me, not you. Right? That's the mundane mentality. So when they give a donation, it means they're giving. They may not know it, but they're actually sacrificing this illusion of thinking that Lakshmi belongs to me. And thus Krishna's pleased. Otherwise, they may take the book, or you may give the book, but they haven't really given any sacrifice. So why should they be able to understand that book? Krishna may not reveal himself therein. He made that one thing to have knowledge, is another thing to not understand it. That's by the mercy of Radharani, by the mercy of Krishna's consorts, that we can understand Krishna. Otherwise it's not possible. So it's very valuable if they actually, for their own benefit, we may or may not need anything, but for their benefit, it's very good for them to give a donation. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So don't go around kicking devotees now, please. Okay? This is for your benefit. I'm giving you a good kick to help you to become tolerant and selfless and humble and, no longer see yourself in the center. All right, time is flying by. It's 3:30, and we have to move along. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Someone want to put the book back? If you haven't got the Krishna book, they're probably available in the temple shop, I'd imagine.